Live.
Everybody's still out reveling. I don't think our clocks match.
That's okay.
I know they play Alabama game, first game of the season next year.
Yeah.
At Atlanta's new stadium.
For somebody who can't see it.
Yeah.
We don't think it matches.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good. Okay, good.
We all July.
No.
I don't know what you're asking me.
Let me check. I have it. Let's see.
I now call the Norton Council organizational meeting to order for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017. The time is 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Before we really get started, I just want to say welcome back, and I hope everybody had nice holidays over the last couple of weeks. Mrs. Richards, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Rogers,
Mr. Rogers is unexcused.
Mr. McGlone.
Here.
Mr. Kernan.
Here.
Mr. Pearson.
Here.
Mr. Towsley.
Here.
Mr. Pelot.
Here.
And Ms. Whipke.
Here. Okay, first order of business is election of the Vice President of Council. I open the floor for nominations for President.
I'd like to nominate Charlotte Whipke, President.
I'll second. And this is for president, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think they require a second with the new format.
Okay.
Any further nominations?
I'd like to nominate Scott Pelot for Vice President.
We haven't done that yet.
Oh, are we doing all of them?
We
That
did
was
president.
just
Yeah, we
got
have
to
to
do
do them one
president
at a
first.
time.
I'm sorry, I thought,
That's okay.
I have to find out if anybody else has any nominations. Now I'm going to close it and turn it over to Ms. Richards.
Mr. McGlone.
yes.
Mr. Kernan.
Yes.
Mr. Pearson.
No.
Mr. Towsley.
No.
Mr. Pelot.
Yes.
And Ms. Whipke.
Yes, I guess. Next thing, election of the Vice President of Council. Again, I open the floor for nomination for Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Scott Pelot for Vice President.
Are there any further nominations? That we close the nominations. And Mrs.
Mr. McGlone.
Yes.
Mr. Kernan.
Yes.
Mr. Pearson.
No.
Mr. Towsley.
Yes.
Mr. Pelot.
Yes.
And Ms. Whipke.
Yes. Okay, I would just like to thank council for last year, and I'm going to thank them again for re-electing me into this position. With that said, we have a committee work session immediately following this, or should we just have it at 7?
Just immediately following, you'll need to gavel out and start all over.
Okay. There being no further business come before council, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:33. I now call the Norton Council Committee work session for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017 to order. The time is 6:34. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Mrs. Richards, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Unexcused.
Mr. McGlone.
Here.
Mr. Kernan.
Here.
Mr. Pearson.
Here.
Mr. Towsley.
Here.
Mr. Pelot.
Here.
And Ms. Whipke.
Here. Committee work session, general topics of discussion. First thing up is approving the 27 meeting schedule. That falls to Mr. Towsley.
Thank you, Madam President. This is obviously just a schedule before you. I believe I heard Mr. Pilat questioning July 3rd earlier.
Yes.
Yes. She confirmed that it is a regular business day for the city.
July 4th actually falls on a Tuesday, so that's the legal closed holiday for the city, so we will be meeting on the 3rd. That was the only.
I'd like to make comment that if it's okay with council and council can put their opinion in, I think we should move it to July 5th, just in case people are out of town for the July 4th holiday. If I'm the only one who feels that way, that's fine. But
That would be Wednesday afternoon? then?
Wednesday.
I don't have a problem with that. Do we,
Can we do that? We can,
We can do whatever
that. You
we
can
want,
change
but-
your
You can
schedule.
cancel it, you can
One
change it.
regular council meeting per month is the charter requirement, and everything else is just how you set it.
so this hasn't been adopted yet, so
No.
we could just by agreement kind of say we're going to substitute the 5th for the 3rd and then adopt it.
Yep, and then that's what's going to go out to the public, the press, and on the website, and at any time throughout the year you want to change it.
Right. I think that's a good idea because people may be out of town the 3rd, 4th, 5th and that, so, or whatever, so. So I would support that.
anybody else have any comment on that or anything?
I agree with it.
now, can we do that now, or can we just put that forward and then we have to pass it next time, since that's the rules?
You can
I
do it
think
now.
we can do it anytime we want. I don't think it requires,
Doesn't require legislation or anything.
So should we have a roll call to an amended
Yeah.
schedule? Okay, and then I'll make a motion to pass this schedule amended with July 5th.
I'll second that.
Mr. Towesley?
Yes.
Mr. Kernan?
Yes.
Mr. McGlone?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Pilat?
Yes.
And Ms. Whipke?
Yes. I guess the only question I would have is, would this be Mr. McGlone that would have had to second that?
This is committee of the whole, right?
It is,
Okay.
at this point.
Next thing up, review, approve the council rules. Again, Mr. Towesley.
Thank you, Madam President. This is a yearly process of going over the council rules, and if anybody has any additions or subtractions they'd like to suggest, now would be the time. I myself do not.
I do not.
I do not.
Me neither.
Not I.
And with that, I will make a motion to accept the council rules as written at this time.
I'll second.
Mr. Towesley?
Yes.
Mr. Kernan?
Yes.
Mr. McGlone?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Pilat?
Yes.
And Ms. Whipke?
Yes.
Mr. President, just to let everyone know, we can change these anytime we want throughout the year. Okay.
What, a supermajority? 5?
And what, I think we did 2/3, is what we changed it to last year.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's,
I think it's 601. Page 12.
Appoint the standing committees. I'm proposing, this says Mr. Towesley, I'm proposing, the only change I would be wanting to see is exchanging Mr. Towesley and Mr. Pearson. Mr. Pearson is currently on finance. I'd like to put Mr. Towesley on finance and put Mr. Pearson on utilities.
And that's your privilege, correct?
I've always felt
To
that.
vote for that, I don't.
Well, I don't think so. Isn't this something that the president of council does?
Correct.
President has an option.
Right. So I think you just do it.
Well, that's what I'm proposing,
Okay.
what I'd like to see. Appoint the firefighter dependents fund members. I don't think we have that, do we?
We do not. I initially had that on the draft agenda to begin with, but apparently there's some confusion as to whether or not the city qualifies at this point. We're waiting to get all those details worked out, so we're not ready to go forward with it yet.
Well, that would take care of all this. Now we're on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business come before council? New business. Is there any new business come before council? I do. I would just like something cleared up publicly since it was put on our website. And I'm going to refer to Mrs. Carr
Sure.
for the EPA letter.
Sure.
I think we need to straighten that out in case somebody reads that and gets the same impression that I got.
Okay, sure. Ms. Whipke called me earlier today on, I think it was December 27th was the date. The EPA sent out what is called the documents regarding Nash Heights environmental assessment. Sorry, I blanked out there for a second. The environmental assessments, it is required for Barberton to post those publicly for 30 days because they're the owner of the system and will be building the project. However, the EPA thought it would be good that if we posted them as well for full disclosure of all the information. In that paperwork on page 2, there is a discussion or information regarding the designation of the DMA, which is the Designated Management Agency. Before I got here, apparently, and Mr. White and I attended a couple meetings regarding with NEFCO, which is the planning organization we go through for any kind of infrastructure, particularly utility improvements. And Norton wasn't even basically in the atmosphere. It was Barberton and it was DOES that were the designated management agencies, basically because they own most of the lines in the city of Norton. So as things started changing with the county, we requested for us to become the secondary, which we were granted. In the document, they revised the language, but there was a typo, and I'll read the language, and then we're going to be getting something from the EPA to correct it. But the language said, Barberton is the primary designated management agency, DMA, for the management of sanitary wastewater for the city of Norton in the regional area-wide water quality management plan, WQMP. Norton is the secondary DMA, so that's all good. This project will include a revision of the WQMP by the Northeast Ohio 4-County Regional Planning and Development Organization, NEFCO, to eliminate Norton as the secondary DMA. Obviously, it just stated we were the DMA, so what that language should have been was that they would be eliminating DOES as the secondary because we became the secondary, or they might not need that sentence at all. So I did talk to the EPA this morning about it, and they agree that that is written very poorly, and either the line didn't get removed from the last filing, or someone just didn't replace DOES with Norton, or Norton with DOES. So we're getting that corrected. It's in a 30-day period of review, so we might not get new language tomorrow, but the final document will have that corrected. I did, besides the EPA, also talked with Barberton today. They reassured me that they consider us a secondary as well. And that's a good thing because we will be at the table regarding any kind of future plannings for utilities. Previous to that, we really weren't part of that group, so it's all good, and I just wanted to reassure everyone of that.
Is there going to be, are you going to leave this up on the website? And if so, are you going to put something out there to that effect?
You know, I can do that. It's not a problem. I can do that and tell them and say that it's been addressed with the EPA and will be corrected. It's probably a good idea. Maybe we'll get new language from the EPA tomorrow. I don't know. But that's probably a good idea, Scott. We can do that.
Thank you.
When that new language comes through, will Barberton then have to repost that, and will the 30 days start over again?
The EPA told me the 30 days will be the 30 days
Okay.
because it's a comment period, so there could be other comments.
Okay.
This is just one of the comments that was,
Okay.
looked at.
All right.
Well, thank you for taking care of that and getting it taken care of today. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for following up on it. Appreciate that, Jim.
Next up is public comment.
I had no one sign in this evening.
Okay, well,
I just wanted to jump back to topics for next session if we could.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Skipped right over.
That's all right. I just wanted everyone to know that, we're going to be looking at this moratorium, and it is not necessarily that we're going to be making any decisions regarding medical marijuana businesses in the city of Norton, or how we feel about those, or where they're going to be, or how they're going to be handled. It's just merely to put a moratorium on so that we have time in order to do that. So I think we're going to be starting on that next work session, correct? And I think we may have some draft legislation to look at.
I will have draft legislation for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. That's the only topic we have currently. Public updates, are there any public updates? The next regular council meeting will be January 9th. There being no further business come before council, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:45.
Handled, it's just merely to put a moratorium on so that we have time in order to do that. So I think we're going to be starting on that next work session, correct? And I think we may have some draft legislation to look at.
I will have draft legislation for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. That's the only topic we have currently. Public updates, are there any public updates? The next regular council meeting will be January 9th. There being no further business come before council, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:45.